feel okay. I feel decent. I mean, there's stuff, but there's always stuff. I think there's probably always going to be stuff. But feeling quite different from yesterday. Well, quite different. Yesterday was pretty brutal. And today I feel lighter. This sort of confessional or recording of myself, I think it's quite helpful. It's self-affirming. It's me recognizing myself, me recognizing my own needs and desires. And it's given me some hope, I think, of movement, that there could be change within me. And that the feelings aren't so unbearable. Not that the feelings, that the feelings can be attempted to be expressed, at least. Like yesterday, it's like maybe I expressed 10% of what I was feeling, but I did get 10% out. I did get some of it out. And I think that in itself creates hope that there could continue to be movement. There is a possibility of a future where I'm able to express myself fully, that I can hold my head up high and say, I'm sad, I'm hurting, I'm in need of love and anything, to express my needs and to express my boundaries and to express my difficult feelings. I think this has been such a bad habit that I believe was taught to me, that I was taught to do this, but when I look at my astrology, it matches up with that. So is it, was it fated that I had these kind of formative things? Probably. And that doesn't change anything. What it does in self-reflecting and doing different things, including looking and understanding my astrology, and it gives me a way forward, a possibility of evolution, and not just this kind of like victimhood thing that I've felt stuck in, but hated because it goes so against who I am. I don't like it at all. Any kind of, I have my own mind. I'm very independent and I want to do things my own way. But then there's this capitulation to appease others. And it's not from the place of like, oh, I care about other people's feelings and I am willing to just modify myself. Like there is that, but that's underneath this conditioning that's out of fear of punishment. So you must behave and you must do what I want, you know, this is from the authorities, for me to love you. And if you don't, if you challenge me and if you question me, if you try and do what you want to do, then I'm going to withdraw my love and support. And I'm going to hold that over you, and I'm going to put it back in your face if you ever come and ask for support. And that's going to be specifically for you. That's not how the authorities are across the board, because with these other ones, it's very different behavior. So it seems like a cruelty. It seems like specifically targeted treatment. And, you know, that got under my skin, and that really affected me. It's so insidious, it's so difficult to kind of pull all of these things apart and find, okay, this was somebody else and this is who I am. And that's where I find astrology is really useful. I think that self-reflection is useful for that. So I get it a number of ways. I get it through watching videos about people's behavior, you know, that's describing, and then, wow, okay, so that's, you know, they're describing this kind of typical behavior, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, that's not normal behavior. That's not healthy, normal behavior that I'm resisting because I'm a bad person. No, that's actually bad, dysfunctional behavior. So my feelings that there was something wrong, that's legitimate. And getting a glimmer of that, it's like so bittersweet in a way. I mean, it brings up a lot of all the pain that was held down from way back. So it's like, you know, it wants to come bubbling up, and that's scary. It's scary, and it's scary for me. Even like I recognize, like, it's scary thinking like that I like to fully say I don't want my parents in my life. To make that choice, I felt alone in the world. I felt the lack of support from them. But to make it final and choose that is really hard, because it feels like I'm doing something wrong, and that would be this betrayal to the family. And then I mean, yesterday I had this like fear that creeping in, that they would come to my house and like get upset with me, like hunt me down kind of thing, and even like there'd be violence or something. And I think that's probably totally irrational. But I'm just being honest. Like this is how deep seated it is. Like after all these years, like there's still these childhood fears of punishment for upsetting my parents. And I mean, it's not like it's, yeah, as I said yesterday, it's like, it's always about my mom being upset. And then my dad like waking up out of his stupor to get angry and totally unhinged. Like he's not a trustworthy person in my mind. It's like the let sleeping dogs lie. Like don't just let him be, because if he's disturbed, then there will be shit to pay. There will be this a Cro-Magnon rampaging. So yeah, I guess yesterday's still reverberating through me for sure. And I still feel trapped. I feel like I just want to run away from my current life. I'm willing to like there's no way that I would get the money for my belongings that I put into them, of course. It's just like, just scrap it all and just leave the country. That's what I feel like doing. Just put as much distance between myself and my birth family as possible, and just go to a totally new land where I can start fresh. I want to purge the past. I want to purge the past that I was, and that all of it. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay to do. It's not escapism, because I have faced these things. I have ruminated over them. The facing is not in like confronting my family, because that's pointless. For years I tried to rectify these things with them. I made great effort to be part of their lives, and they did not reciprocate that. The message that I got was, that it was all about their lives, and that I shouldn't, that I'm welcome, and that there's this kind of, as I said yesterday, like they want me within this kind of proximity and the control where they feel like they've been good parents and everything's normal. But as soon as I like get too close or too far away, then there's some like attempt to manipulate or guilt or whatever from all three of them, from my mom, my dad, and my brother. Yeah, in any of that, it's never, what do you need? How are you doing? I'm sorry. Nothing that shows genuine care and concern. It has never felt like that. My dad has never once visited me by himself. He's never gone out of his way to be part of my life, or to know about me, or to spend time with me. Just himself. It's only ever been with my mom. And the few times that they visited my place, after not very long, he's either falling asleep or looking at his watch or saying, okay, we gotta go. It's like he doesn't want to be there. As I said yesterday, it's done. The trajectory is set. It's been so many years, and they're nearing the end of their life, and they gotta figure it out. They've said they've got it all figured out. The way they behave and speak, they don't want my interference. They don't want my input. They've got it sorted. And I regret how much effort I've put into trying to be part of their lives, because it's always been futile. And here I am, I'm all alone. I don't have my own family. I don't have my own life, really. I mean, I have my own life, but there's not much going on in it. Because it's like I think it's complicated, but it's like, because of not being heterosexual, I think there's an emptiness of what do I design my life around? I think relationships have always been important for me, except for there's been this poisoning, and so distrust, and when I've been in them, there's been too much efforting on my part. I've perpetuated some of the dysfunction, for example, that my mom demonstrated, of this kind of micromanaging and fixing and caretaking, not based on consent. In my last relationship, when I kind of took over my ex's home and started rearranging things, and he was terrible at communication, so he didn't let me know until it was him saying he wanted me to move out. And I didn't understand why. And it's only in later and kind of looking at my patterns that I think that was part of it, that I was too overbearing, that I was just too much. And he wanted this non-confrontational, he definitely had a lot of dysfunctional things, and it was that he couldn't express his emotions. He couldn't talk about his boundaries. He'd just endure, kind of similar to me. I think I'm way more communicative than he was. Maybe, I don't know if he's changed or not, but. So I feel like early, my childhood conditioning, it has sabotaged a lot of my relationships. And so I end up being alone because it's too painful to go through these episodes of attaching and being rejected or feeling like a failure. Like there's something wrong with me. I didn't try hard enough for something, but paradoxically that was maybe the problem, that I was over-efforting because I'm not at ease. Because I have this perpetual anxiety, especially with other people that I care about. Because I was trained to be hyper-vigilant. It's really a mind fuck trying to wrestle oneself away from one's parents. In accepting that they were harmful. And cutting ties with them. I think it would be different if they recognized the harm that they did, instead of every time when I tried as gently as possible to address things, but instead it gets thrown back in my face and gaslighting. And like, how many times are you going to put yourself in that situation where you just get guilt tripped? It's masochistic to keep letting somebody be abusive. And I mean, where I am at now, and been doing this, trying to do this for a while, is deprogrammed so I'm not abusive to myself. So I reclaim myself from programs that sabotage me, that undermine me. I mean, this is the whole point of doing this kind of confrontational video thing, is seeing those things, seeing these unconscious patterns of thought and behavior that throw me under the bus. I know that I have goodness inside of me, strength and power and altruism, but they can't come out. They can't come out until the toxic stuff is resolved. Because they get twisted, they get distorted. So again, my intention to be of service and to love and care for somebody comes across as this narcissistic kind of controlling thing. And I don't think that I'm terrible with that. I don't think saying narcissistic is, I think, that I don't believe I'm a narcissist, because I reflect always and always ask myself, what is the motivation behind what I'm doing? And I often can see when I'm operating from a hurtful place. And I can see my good intentions too. So, but there's like it's like the unconscious patterns are there. They're deeply ingrained. And so it's kind of when we're on autopilot and we haven't caught ourselves yet, and we slip into this behavior and kind of, so this is the importance of mindfulness. I think I have a decent level of mindfulness, and I would attribute that mostly to my meditation practice over the years, that I find solace in slowing down and introspecting, observing myself. There's an equilibrium that occurs eventually in that. You know, I think to some degree it's a coping mechanism. So but it's like I've made that coping mechanism of withdrawal, of disassociation, into a skill set by being skillful with it, by not just, because definitely when I was younger, I would just truly disassociate and my consciousness would diminish because I'm just diffuse. My awareness is left the building and it's not anywhere in particular. And that spaciness feels good, especially in contrast to pain and discomfort in the body. You know, when the body is like feels unsafe, and there's there's this bodily response of stomach ache and trembling and emotion that goes with that. But so just becoming spacey and zoning out is a relief from that, which I used when I was young. But thankfully, and yeah, I can say, thankfully, my mom paid for me to learn transcendental meditation. And my mom did do some good things. Music lessons and different things like that. But the thing is I feel like that was so often, it was about her making herself feel like she was a good mother. And it was so much of what she did was based in her own insecurity, and so it rarely landed right. The times that I think that the times that those things did land right is because I owned them and I kind of wrestled them from her in one way or another. Like the music lessons didn't really take, because she micromanaged the practicing. And so it was her thing. She pushed way too hard with that. And then my rebellious spirit was like, and now I'm not gonna, which was just like school, me doing schoolwork. I have this rebelliousness in me. And I'm glad for it, because I think that's what has saved me. That's what's making me do what I'm doing now. Otherwise, I think I would be codependent somehow with somebody, maybe still putting up with my family, or maybe in some codependent relationship with somebody that replicated those toxic things. But I'm too independent, and I challenge things. Even when it makes things uncomfortable. I'm difficult. I mean, this is how my family would describe me, I'm sure. I don't go with the flow. If there's something that feels off, I point it out and I question it. So I want to be around people that value that value transparency and honesty and accountability, the ability to, call each other on our shit. And I don't mean in a hostile way. I don't mean in a nitpicking way. I mean just a frank way that is well-intentioned. It's not a reaction. It's skillful relationship building. It's skillful rapport building. And the rapport is got to be based on some depth. The depth comes from the honesty and the accountability. We need to get to real stuff to have a real bond. And I think that's what was lacking in my family. I think probably in a lot of families, because our culture is like that. Most people, in my opinion, don't want to go very deep or honest. They're treading water pretty hard to just stay on top. They want to keep everything status quo. That's not me. So in the new life that I'm wanting to create, it's around people who are a bit radical in their desire for authenticity. Because if you're going to build a tribe that is cohesive, you gotta do some groundwork. You gotta have some deep roots to survive the storms that are coming, that are here, and that are coming. I feel like the culture that I was handed is bankrupt. The boomers rode the last wave of good times. Not that there can't be good times in the future, but they will have to be worked for quite intently. There's going to be strong competition for how we should live our lives when AI is able to generate all sorts of fascinating things that's curated to all of the data it's collected on us. Is this technological world going to sacrifice all of the storytellers and all of the artists and all the spiritual people, the ones most needed to balance out the technological age? Or will they just be pushed aside, outsourced, and cheapened? there's a potential for life to become very flashy and fascinating and incredibly superficial. And when there's no generations left that remember a previous time, will the trap be complete where humanity is in an even deeper layer of the matrix? It's clear we're in one right now with at least the culturescape. Maybe this planet and our bodies and whatever is not a simulation. Maybe nature and this earth, this realm, maybe it's not a simulation in the way we might think. Maybe it is real if we could actually take the time to experience it, if meditate in nature and feel the aliveness of it. But the culturescape creates a matrix, for sure. But it seems they're building a more complex, immersive, truly matrix-style illusionary world that people will prefer to be in. It seems to me they're trying to ruin nature and then offer a virtual one in its replacement. And this, I think, is perhaps the highest evil. The darkest thing that could happen to the world. And we should not let it happen. We should fight it with everything that we have. And I think this too is what the remainder of my life will be about, is getting to the bottom of all that, trying to sort it out, trying to point it out, try and wake people up, and not indoctrinate them and say this is what is, but empower them so they can be discerning, so they can tap into that natural intelligence that's within them and know the appropriate course of action from their point of awareness. I think it's too easy. It's like a trap that we could get caught in, where there's this overarching narrative that's so big, and then we feel powerless in it. I feel like this is one of the hijackings, the psyops that is part of the whole conspiracy kind of thing, where the culturescape has been flooded with these fearful narratives. So even if you do know some like conspiracy and you try and get it out there, well, it's just in a sea of things, ridiculous things. And it's quite disturbing to see people who believe in a flat earth. Not that there's not fuckery with things, or there's unknown things as far as how space works or whatever. I don't know that for sure. And it seems like there's some things that suggest that it's stranger than we can even barely imagine. But I don't think the Earth is a dinner plate. We need to start with ourselves and empower ourselves and wake up, and even just wake up to the fact that we need to wake up. And what does that mean? Right? It means staying connected with your deeper, wiser self. People don't even know that exists. But if you stop participating in the drama out here and you take the time to have your consciousness still and sink inward and just listen in, then you begin to discover a whole different level of reality. One that transforms this one. You wake up to the depths of reality, the multidimensionality of reality. And so when you open your eyes after meditation and you come back, this one is changed. This one is richer and more layered and more complex and more fascinating. Because everything is, because you have more awareness, you have more consciousness. And sometimes that means more pain. I think it often does. It's much easier just to be a dim bulb. And my personal, I think the thing that really gets to me is when there's people such as myself who are bright bulbs, that we burn brightly and we feel deeply and intensely, and we see behind the curtain, at least sometimes, that we are so wounded and so hurt by life that we can't contribute in the way that we are meant to. That our gifts, our insight, our brilliance, our imagination, our creativity gets wasted. It doesn't get appreciated. The thing that the world needs gets discarded. And the decision makers of the world, the people that everybody are paying attention to, are the lowlifes, are the narcissistic psychopaths that have got all the performativity down to a T. And seeing that on a regular basis, it's really depressing. It's hard to fight that. It's hard to fight the whole world. And seeing how dysfunctional it is, and get up and feel like, oh, I can do something about this. I don't even know what to do with my own self, my own life. I mean, that's not true. I get insight, and I have made changes and I have done things. But it's like, I need another 100 years. I'm at the very least halfway through my life. I mean, if I lived full life expectancy, I'd only have 30 more years. 10 years goes by in a blink of an eye. And those end decades, you don't got a lot of oomph left usually. I don't want that to be. I want to be like the Taoist masters that are doing Kung Fu at 110. That's what I want. I want the shittiest part of my life to be the early part, and to grow from here and to really gain momentum and push to excel in my later years. There's part of me that feels like once my parents are no longer on the planet, that I'll be somehow unleashed and free. And it's fucked up. It's like I recognize that because I recognized a long time ago. And it's like, if they were such great parents, I don't think I would feel that way. And again, I would not want them to watch my videos and see this. I'd rather keep them in the dark because I don't think they can grasp it. I think they would just feel hurt, and spiral. But then part of me is like, well, I've been hurting and spiraling for decades. Like, why should they be spared from it? Maybe that's exactly what they need. But again, I am not going to attempt, I'm done trying to help them, fix them. That's part of the toxicity that my mom instilled in me. So I am a healer, but I'm redefining what that means. I'm a healer by healing myself first and primarily, and showing my healing process. Teaching by example. Showing my woundedness to the light of day, which is very hard, which is not at all easy for me, but that's exactly why I need to do it. That's exactly why it'll work, because it's the shame, and it's the stagnancy, the stuckness of keeping it all inside that is the problem. It's not any of the things. It's not any of the components of the pain in themselves are shameful or are disease causing or are what causes suffering. It's the repression of them. So I know that it's in me accepting these current traits and feelings and all this stuff. It's me accepting them that is where the healing comes from. And I don't mean acceptance of like it's okay. The acceptance is just the witnessing. So witnessing that it's not okay, witnessing that it hurts, witnessing my own feelings of failure and shame and not not goodness, not good enoughness. And it's not trying to prove a point, and it's not trying to come to some academic conclusion about how things work. It's just a raw unpacking. And yeah, there's all sorts of like inspiration that springs out of it. There's all sorts of ideas as I'm doing that. It's like how to have a different society with a more tribal approach where there's cooperation and there's this and all and that. And that's what is really cool about it. That's why we go into the dragon's cave, is to reclaim ourselves, to reclaim all that creativity, all of that life that's been locked away and defended by the dragon. You know, the dragon's hoarding all that stuff. The dragon of fear and self-loathing has hoarded all the good stuff. And all of that good stuff has been rotting, not being used, not being utilized. And it's supposed to flow and be manifested in the world. I have been a blocked artist for most of my life. There's been occasionally these little spurts of creativity, and each time I'm like, I'm amazed. I fall in love with myself, with my creative expression. It hurts because I realize how much time I've wasted. If in a little window I can create something that surprises and delights me, and I know that it could be recognized and appreciated and valuable and all this stuff, but knowing how much I've held back, it feels tragic. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. Feels good. Feel good about this revealing.